Good morning, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer. Hope you're doing very well today, and I hope you are ready for yet another Modern Donation League featuring a black-based mid-range deck, but this is one whose exact likes anyway, you might not have ever quite seen before. Rakdos Prowess is a very, very strong deck, and Rakdos Scourge is a very, very strong deck, with or without Death's Shadow. The aggressive slant is very, very strong if we are looking to get Scourge online as quickly as possible, get the opponent dead as quickly as possible while doing some disrupting along the way. This list is a little bit more of a true mid-range take on that broad idea. So to that end, instead of cards like Monastery Swiftspear, Mutagenic Growth, Temur Battle Rage, the more aggressively slanted stuff, we have a lot of overlap, but we also have a lot more traditional grinding power in the form of cards like Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. We have Dark Confidant to accrue card advantage. Both of these things can also be ways to turn Scourge of the Skyclave on and or make it stronger. And we also have Vexing Devil, which is a really interesting addition here as a more it's almost like a hybrid aggro grindy card, right? Because with Lurrus of the Dream Den involved, of course, we can buy back this 1-mana 4/3 or a 1-mana Boros Charm, basically, whichever mode is worse for us. They're both still pretty good in that context. And we also have, other classic black-based disruption elements, like instead of just the 4 Thoughtseizes, we play 2 Inquisitions as well for a traditional 6 discard spells, but a non-traditional split, again leaning really heavily into Thoughtseize as a way to enable Scourge of the Skyclaves. We're also packing Fatal Push, Kolaghan's Command, a main deck Nihil Spellbomb, so it's kind of hybridizing a traditional Lurrus mid-range deck. I say traditional as though they've been around for years and years, but you understand the point. Conceptually traditional and currently stock black-based mid-range variants featuring Lurrus. We're kind of mashing that up with the currently top tier 1, Rakdos Scourge aggressive archetype. So this list does come to us from Gold Sabertooth, aka Timothy Toronto. And, what are we going to call it? Well, I suggested the name Skyclave Devils, because Vexing Devil is a card that Tim really wanted to play, really wanted to leverage, and of course, Scourge of the Skyclaves. The demon and the devil, they're cousins, right? I thought that was fitting. Tim had other ideas, and he's making memes. He's making memes about the Virgin Goyf versus the Chad Scourge, as you can see here. Now, I had to veto the Chad name because Chad, of course, implies Gideon, and we're not playing Gideons. We're not playing actual Chads in the deck, but we are playing Scourge, and you know what? I disavow the meme. I can't condone the meme. We love Tarmogoyf, and we always will. However, it's hard to argue about some of the points individually here. Scourge of the Skyclaves is the Black Tarmogoyf, at least we can give it that title, and it is an absolute powerhouse in and of itself and also in the modern format. What else to point out about the list? We've kind of covered all the main deck stuff, obviously with 3 Seals of Fire and 3 Lightning Bolts. We've got a lot of ways to control the board. Seal has recursive potential with Lurrus, and they also, of course, can always go upstairs, enabling Scourge of the Skyclave and contributing to our way to turn the corner in almost no time. We have 21 lands, a pretty straight-up mana base. The Castle Locthwain and Agadeem's Undercrypt as one-ofs are what passes for our utility package, and both cards are pretty good in the deck. Agadeem's Awakening, of course, the shock we can use to our own advantage, and also buying things back is definitely somewhat live. It's just another thing where... another synergy, where Vexing Devil can really shine. So, in my playtesting games with this list, Vexing Devil has actually been very powerful. The whole deck has been very powerful, but Devil's been really powerful, but also a card I side out more than most other things. It's kind of a Game 1 card. In a lot of matchups, don't get me wrong, we will side it in when we have cards that are actively bad or just not on plan with what we want to be configured post-60. But it's kind of high variance, just if nothing else, in that I tend to decide it out more often. But what do I know? I'm just playing an archetype, just testing the waters here, and it is definitely a little bit off the beaten path in some ways from what I've used to. In other ways, it feels like home. Either way, the deck is really cool. Quick look at the sideboard. 4 copies of Cleansing Wildfire. I won't say I insisted on it. I suggested it, and Tim said, yeah, let's do that. But we got all the way up to the full play set of Wildfire. Just seems really, really good. You have to have a good reason not to, almost, right? It's just that good. Especially in a 2-color deck where your options are a little bit more limited. Other than that, it's a really clean sideboard with a lot of things to do. We've got Abrade for our Shatter effect, and to really load down on removal against small creature decks post-side. Collective Brutality, of course, also does the latter. It's our big tech against red deck wins archetypes as well. Good against Collected Company decks, can play a role against control decks, depending on their configuration and on ours. Leyline of the Void is a card that doesn't see a whole ton of play right now, but it is definitely a really interesting one. This is a card that I could tell Tim was really excited to play, and play it we will as a 3-of. Plague Engineer in the side, you do not leave home without the Plague Man, and Feed the Swarm is another piece of new technology from Zendikar Rising that does give black or black-red decks an out to an enchantment. And it's not even, cards have been printed like that in the past, but they've been pretty low power. You gotta say the ceiling on them is pretty darn low. Feed the Swarm's not even a bad card at all. Even leaving that aside, it's modal. You destroy a creature or an enchantment. It's only 2 mana. And yes, it's sorcery speed, and yes, you lose life equal to that permanent's converted mana cost, but at least some of the time, we can leverage that life loss here in the deck to our advantage. So definitely a real spice ball. And yeah, I guess we're calling it Based Devil Rock. I believe that was our donor's request. So here you go. This is Devil Rock, or dare I even say Based Devil Rock. And we are going to get into a league with it right now. Thank you so much to Gold Sabertooth for all of your generous support and all of the great memes. Thanks a ton, my friend. This league is for you. Let's get into it. Few quick shout-outs before we begin. The first one is to YouTube channel Magic Matt. I will link this in the description below, and you should subscribe to him because this is last season's trophy leader, M. Hayashi, who is a very, very nice guy. He makes great content. He actually does the type of formula that I used to do, where it's one game uploaded at a time. So you have a league available to you in 5 parts. He also does deck techs too, and he plays some really fun decks, and he has enormous success. Maybe he'll be this season's trophy leader too. I know I'm rooting for him for sure. So that's Magic Matt on YouTube, aka the infamous M. Hayashi. Please do give this stuff a look if you think you'd enjoy it. And also, we have a new BGX MTG subreddit. If you guys want some really fleshed out discussion, a place to really let it rip as far as long form discussions that will be, easily accessible, standing the test of time, unlike more fleeting temporal things, maybe like the live chats and Discord and so forth. There is a good role for a solid BGX focused subreddit, and this comes to us from Confidant tier Patreon supporter Jag. So that is r/BGXMTG. Thank you so much, Jag, for making this. And if you guys want to get in on that, that's where you can find that. Finally, we've got a trio of patrons to shout out. Austin Young and Ashes to Ashes are brand new Inquisitors. Thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate that. And Ben Reese is, who I formerly mislabeled Ben Rez. Ben Reese, our new Tireless tier member. Excuse me. Brain's a little foggy this morning. He went from Confidant all the way up to Tireless tier, and as I am recording this video, he is currently typing up in the Discord the report of his first ever MTGO 5-0 with Jun, so huge shout out to Ben Rees. Thank you for your increased support, my friend. Big congrats on the 5-0. He did it while streaming last night. I unfortunately was not around for it, but I look forward to reading the write-up. So thanks for viewing this, everybody out there. Thanks to all Patreon supporters, including the ones I just mentioned, and including Tim Toronto. Without any further ado, let's play some Devil Rock. We have won the die roll here in round 1, my friends. We'll see what our opening hand yields, but we will choose to play first and hope for a good one. Hope for a good one. You know, I call the Scourge of the Skyclaves the Black Tarmogoyf in many ways. That is an apt comparison. And in other ways, obviously, it's imperfect. As I was just about to say, one of the ways in which it's imperfect is if you have it in the opener, but you don't necessarily have a way to get the opponent's life total down, which is exactly what we've got here. In any case, it is still a keep. It's definitely a better on-the-play hand than an on-the-draw hand. I think I'm going to run out Marsh Flats. There is an incentive to just play Agadeem's Awakening. You know what? Never mind that. We are just going to play Agadeem the Undercrypt. Kind of an interesting decision immediately out of the gates, though. There is a world in which we just draw lands off the top and we'd want Agadeem in the back pocket, but I don't really want that land to get discarded out. Not that I guess they would. And also, you just imagine the... Okay, so we're in kind of the mirror, but the opponent's on the stock version of the deck. Interesting. Alright, well, we are just going to run out a Dark Confidant, I think, see if they have a kill spell for it. They probably do, but we've got 2 in hand, and we'll save our Scourge until it's bigger. If Bob goes unanswered, that's great. So despite the fact that we have a more grindy setup, I don't know that we're favored simply because they've got that companion. We shall see. Seal of Fire from the OP. Okay, feels bad. Another Bowmat Courier also feels pretty bad. Where's our Plague Engineer when we need him? Main deck Plague Man. Oh, we just draw another Bob. Okay, so if we... Are we supposed to run out Scourge here and risk them having removal? I mean, it's kind of bad no matter what we're doing, just because we are drawing only threats, no interaction against this deck. That's kind of bad. I'm thinking about playing the Scourge... Just fetching with Marsh Flats to make it a 5-5, kind of a happy medium between taxing our own life total to grow the Scourge and growing the Scourge at the expense of our own life total. I guess that's the play, and I guess we don't necessarily need to fetch main phase. Most likely. But if they've got a kill spell here, a clean kill spell, they sure do. Yeah, we are in big trouble. They've just got kind of a perfect curve out because these couriers are not only aggressive, but value positive. Card is just really good, Bowmat Courier. I felt that for a while. Opponent seems like, yep, they've got a Scourge as well. Okay, I think we just kind of lose. But we will play it out because we're going to be dead soon enough, right? Another land off the top. All right, you know what? I'm actually just going to concede to that. We have absolutely no chance. Might as well just move on. Yeah, completely crushed. That's the power of the current stock setup, I guess. They're really aggressive slant of it. The Bowmat Courier's just doing everything you'd want, right? Now, granted, they're not really why we lost the game. We lost the game because the opponent had removal spells, we didn't. I think our hand is very justifiable on the play in the blind, but we just drew more of the same that we already had. Opponent had a really, balanced curve out. We did not. So, yeah, feels pretty bad. I think Collective Brutality can come in here. Obviously, it's a bad joke against a late-game Scourge of the Skyclaves or similar, but It does kill the companion Lurrus. It does kill early Bomat couriers. Checking the hand's okay. Gaining life can be interesting. I want Plague Engineer. I want Feed the Swarm, I think. A little tricky. And then, like, Abrade is solid enough as well. I'm going to mute for a second, just have a couple sips of my drink, and think a little bit more about this. Alright, so I think I'm going to begin with the idea of bringing the Vexing Devils out. They can definitely steal games, but I think with our configuration, we're supposed to put our faith in our ability to outgrind the opponent. To that end, even though Dark Confidant's really vulnerable and pretty bad off the top in a lot of spots, I might leave them all in. I'm not sure, at least on the play. I'm thinking about cutting away some discard. A lot of this is going to be pretty debatable. I will acknowledge that. I also think I'm not going to play Leylines, even though they're a Lurrus deck, even though they might have other things. Okay, I'm gonna lean all the way into the grinding package, cut another Thoughtseize, and maybe I just play only one Abrade. I think that's the worst of the kind of removal spells we're bringing in. Alright, I fully acknowledge that there are several different ways you could configure here. This one might not be the most popular or optimal, but I think it is a way to do it. I think it's just basically saying we are going to try to win the game fair and square. You know, we are going to try to outgrind the opponent, out-interact the opponent, and outvalue the opponent, and I think we can. Whether we will, I don't know. But I think, especially on the play, doing that is really, really live, and then we'll see exactly what they have post-side. This is another hand where it's a little sketchy because it has no interaction, but this one's more powerful, right? Because it does have the Lurrus Bauble package that we're threatening, and I really don't want a mulligan in the matchup. I think I'm going to keep it. And we have such a high density of removal spells that, like, we shouldn't fail to draw one forever. I'm going to bauble them right away, just hoping to draw removal off the top, basically. Instant speed removal, that is. Instant speed 1 mana removal, that is, so we can have it at the ready. Instead, we draw another Bob. This is looking familiar. At least that's something to do proactively on T2. Opponent will Thoughtseize us, sure. That's like the least scary thing they could do right here, right now. If they take Lurrus, then you imagine there's another discard spell in the offing, and that could get a little rough. If not, I don't know. Scourge is the card that they could, in theory, have the fewest answers to, but our life total's not going down anytime soon, it seems, and they just take the Dark Confidant. Okay, well, the draw of Kroxa is pretty good in light of all that. I want to see this third land next turn, though. We've given ourselves the highest chance to draw it. So far, we have not. But Kroxa is a good find. The Nightmare is drawing another uncastable 3-drop, though. Or, I guess, another Scourge of the Skyclaves. Alright, we're doing the opponent's work for them to an unknown degree. They pitch a Marsh Flats. Are we about to get, like, double shadowed or something? No, we haven't even seen the card shadow. I don't even know for sure if they play it. Third land, we did it. Lovely. Okay, we're definitely going to get one of these Lurruses down. Buy back the Bauble. Upkeep Bauble you. Blood Crypt coming off the top. Well, they pitched a Marsh Flats to our Kroxa, so they probably don't need that land, so that's probably good for us. We're going to play it and shock it in. We know they have a Lightning Bolt, but they're going to use Seal of Fire to take care of Lurrus. So there's 2 unknowns in hand, plus the bolts. We draw Fatal Push, Dark Confidant. A couple of really good draws. I'm going to play the Bob and hold up the push, I suppose. Opponent will just untap. Bolting the Bob or whatever would be mana efficient, but they don't. It's not surprising to see that they don't feel the need to be, right? So if we draw a 4th land, escaping Kroxa could happen next turn if they remove our Bob and if we push the Swifty. Okay. They're going to. And then what will this be? Are they going to put Lurrus into hand? Or are they going to shove all in? Because they don't know about our push, so they could be shoving here, depending on what the 2 cards in their hand are. Lurrus into hand, huh? Alright. Really interesting question as to whether or not to push. I don't think I'm supposed to. I think we need to save that for Lurrus, don't you? And, like, taking the hit here isn't that bad. It's not that bad to the point where they don't even attack. Oh, man, how interesting. I haven't played a Scourge Mirror before, so that was just really cool. And we draw Inquisition. Man, our draws have been incredible. We'll take that, Lurrus, please, and thank you. They have K-Command as well. Oh, boy. Okay. Well... Are we supposed to take K-Command? I mean, it's slower, but it is more powerful. I don't... If we just let them have the Lurrus... Well, you know, let's say we do take K-Command. Then we... Unless they draw, like, a land or some other relevant spell, we are giving them a tension between Lurrus buy back the Seal of Fire versus... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was thinking the whole time that Seal of Fire can't kill our... okay. Wow. Let's rewind this. I am correct. Because I want to give them a tension between bolting our Scourge, maybe, and killing buying back the Seal of Fire for Lurrus value. Maybe that's just bad, though. I just wish we had something more proactive to do this turn. I think I'm going to take the K-Command, though. We're going to settle in for a bit of a longer game. So wish our life total was 1 point lower. So we could play a Scourge that wouldn't die to a single spell. So will opponent now take this as a signal to race? Think they will. I think we still have to be disciplined with our push. We've got to be able to kill that Lurrus. Okay, another push. Again, a 4th land would have been great, because then it's Lurrus, escape the Bauble. That's very good in and of itself. And then we're also generating Revolt for their Lurrus. So a couple pushes. We're letting the Lurrus get kind of a disturbing amount of value, but I do think it's okay here. For us, I still think we're in a good spot. Oh, nice. Opponent gives us priority. Cool. Alright, I think our sequencing thus far has been rewarded. And now that we still have the advantage over the opponent in a couple different ways, I feel we're in a great spot. And Unearth would be scary from them, but yeah, they don't have it nice. Nice. Okay. So do we go Lurrus Bauble here with 2 unknowns in the opponent's hand? Probably. They probably have an answer to it, but I'm just going to keep churning through the deck, trying to finally find that 4th land for Kroxa. And just get this guaranteed 2-for-1 before anything else happens. Hang on to all of our removal. Opponent about to draw Scourge of the Skyclaves. I'm quite glad we do have another Fatal Push in the back pocket. And they've got a Bolt, so yeah, they've got a lot of good stuff going on here. They will run out the Scourge. 1 card left in OP's hand. We draw 2 lands. Well, one of them can be a Kroxa. But just in case their last card is like Fatal Push or they rip one off the top, I think we are supposed to just like cast removal spells this turn. So we're going to feed the Swarm on the Swifty. Hold up push for Scourge. They'll obviously know that's coming, right? There's no reason we would destroy the Swifty and not the Scourge. So I'm just going to do it now, I guess. There's literally no reason to or not to, right? If the opponent's awake, they'll know. They'll know what's going on. Another Scourge. Big yikes. Big yikes. Okay, this is something that could actually beat us. If they can... Oof. If they can remove the Kroxa, but we just have drawn 3 lands off the top, so I think that's just our play. Let's go for it. Oh no, it would feel so bad to have the game stolen from us like this, but it could happen. They had Temur Battle Rage, okay. We'll be attacking, forcing the jump block, but Kroxa coming back next turn if we don't have anything better to do, buying us plenty of time. Mishra's Bauble. Okay. I think we're still supposed to escape Kroxa. Just because, like, I don't want to play Plague Engineer and have it die to a Bolt or Seal of Fire, then we lose. So, what if we Bauble ourselves to control our draw with the Bloodstained Mire? I think that's probably correct. Agadeem's Awakening, I think I want to shuffle that away. Right? Or do I? Let's think. So, we'll be able to bring back a Lurrus and a Scourge. Actually, maybe we should keep it. If we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have to get rid of both Baubles that way, though. Is it better to try to draw removal for OP's Scourge? What a fascinating game. Both Bobs, 1 Lurrus. And yeah, then both Baubles, so we could Agadeem's back for 2. That makes future Kroxas worse, though. I don't know what to do here. I don't know what to do here, not gonna lie. Maybe we'll try to draw Agadeem's Awakening and hope it's good enough. Opponent's going to be confused to see us exiling both Baubles here, I imagine. Mutagenic growth. Got it. Man, this is so intense. Get the Blood Crypt out of there. Liliana the Veil. Okay, new plan. Edict the Scourge. Seems good to me. Obviously, run out the Plague Engineer as well. You know, I think I might name Human for Monastery Swiftspear. I don't know that Bomat Courier is in the deck post side, but like naming Bomat is really good here, if it is. Another, like, I feel I'm being so tested in this opening game relative to my experience with this deck and in the mirror. I guess we're going to go for we're going to name Construct just because it's the highest ceiling if they do have it in the deck, but I suspect they might not. We're going to hold the Agadeem's Awakening, of course. I have not actually cast this before, so if we cast this for X equals 3, alright, so we'll tick up, lose our Bob. Buy back Lurrus, buy back a Scourge. Feels good, man. All right. Oh, this is quite the show. This is quite the show from our deck right away in round 1. Opponent on a white splash, interesting to note. I think in a couple of recent challenge lists, I've seen like Path to Exile. Makes sense. We don't have that. We are straight Rakdos, Devil Rock. Well, that was an awesome victory. And I think our sideboarding was really rewarded in that, as I say, we put our faith in like out mid-ranging their deck. And granted, we drew really well. But I think I like the plan broadly. We didn't really see anything that makes us want Leyline besides, obviously, Lurrus, but yeah, I don't think I want to do much else. You could play an Abrade for max density of removal. You could bring back a Thoughtseize or 2 on the draw. Maybe we're supposed to move away from Dark Confidants. Should we cut all 3 to bring those 3 cards in, or should we like leave 1 Bob in? Thinking about leaving 1 Bob in. Still really good if unanswered, right? I'm not sure if Constructs are in, and therefore I'm not sure if Plague Engineer is as good as it would have been in Game 1. At the same time, I'm definitely think I'm going to leave it in. Just trades with Scourge, if nothing else. So, bring back a Thoughtseize, bring back in a Abrade. I think I'm just going to cut 2 Bobs and call it good. We do have a ton of life loss with Bobs, Feed the Swarms, and Thoughtseizes against their aggressive progressions. That can be really scary. Agadeem's Awakening, we could theoretically have to bolt ourselves as well. We have 4 Blood Crypts, so yeah. So I think this is good. But our mid-range plan is really strong. We should outgrind them if both decks are operating at a similar power level, I think. We have to just, like, not get aggroed out. Assuming our deck's operational, we have to not get aggroed out, and we also have to find the right things at the right time. So for the 3rd time in a row, we have an opening hand with no interaction. That's really unfortunate, really unlucky. I think actually, though, for the 3rd time, I'm going to keep it, because these are 3 premier threats. It's a functional hand. I don't want them all in the matchup. We're going to see a lot of cards early with the Bauble, so I'm going to keep it. hope that if they have a hyper-aggressive start, we draw the removal right away. And if they don't, like if they have like turn 1 Thoughtseize like they did last time, we're going to be certainly punished for mulling, whereas we could be rewarded for the keep. So they have 2 white lands, good to know. And we just draw another land off the top, which is pretty rough. So we're going to bauble ourselves. Got to take every advantage we can with controlling our own draws under these circumstances. Lightning Bolt off the top. I will draw that. Thank you very much. OP with a bauble of their own. They're in a bauble themselves. Doing the same type of thing as we did, I guess. They're going to fetch shock, and then it looks like they're going to pass. Very interesting indeed. We've drawn Swamp. Okay, I think we're just going to play Kroxa here. I think we keep the fetch land in the back pocket in case we need to revolt a little later. So, do we want to shock? I think I will. I think putting myself to 18 is fine here. Just in case we want to start playing Scourges next turn. But, you know, if the opponent wants to keep playing a bit of a cagier game here, Kroxa hopefully will give them, will really potentially punish them for that. We're not casting enough spells probably to escape Kroxa T4, but with this fetch land, you never know. Man, that was pretty cool that Agadeem's Awakening proved to be the finisher last game. Alright, Kroxa trades with this Dismember. I'll take that. OP with a Swifty. Yep. Then they're tapping out for a Scourge. Okay. Us with a Bob off the top, really badly timed. So I think we're supposed to play the Scourge of our own and run out the fetch land, giving us the most options to, you know, do things in response. If their last card is exactly Lightning Bolt, they could maybe beat our Scourge. Well, yeah, no, I think this is probably where we want to be. Trades are not the worst because we do have Kroxa escape next turn. I really want to be able to bolt Lurrus if they... Oh, they haven't even put Lurrus into hand. Sorry. I take that part back. I was thinking as they went into their turn, there's a decent chance they just put Lurrus into hand. Okay, they're going to Thoughtseize, huh? So if we bolt Swifty in response, we're kind of like having a Scourge stare down. If they have like 2 instants in response, they're going to blow us out. But I think this is probably what we're supposed to do. Take the kill, fill the graveyard up for Kroxa next turn. Okay. So it's not that often you hold a bolt against a Swift Spear deck, but I think in this case it was okay. So they're going to take Scourge here, one imagines. Ooh, do they have Fatal Push, too? They do, dang. They've been drawing more pushes than we have. That's been a part of what has made this a little hard. But here comes Kroxa. And Kroxa was pretty good last time, but might need a little backup. We get a shadow out of their hand. Okay. So we have to chump here because if we don't, they will seal us to 10 and hit us for 10. But Kroxa has chump blocked to keep us alive and has traded 2 for 1. So Kroxa's been awesome. We just need to draw like Lily or Push or Feed the Swarm or something. But instead we draw Lurrus of the Dream Den. So we are actually dead if we play Lurrus and escape Kroxa, and buy back Kroxa rather, because again, they're threatening to hit us for 12. So we need to just play Lurrus and Bob, unfortunately, and chump block with one after they remove the other. But if they have so many ways to kill us here. Yeah, we just can't handle a Scourge right now. Yep, just all we need is a Fatal Push like they had, and I think we're going to win. But Scourge of the Skyclaves, pretty OP. Yep, things just didn't quite come together for us. You know, we had to exile our entire graveyard to Kroxa. If we had had one more card in there, we could at least be buying back Bauble now, because that's what we would have left around. Giving us a more realistic chance of winning if we survive. But yeah, feels bad, but this has been an epic mirror, and yeah, the density of Fatal Push is a big determining factor here, but we do have other tech. We could have drawn Feed the Swarm, Liliana, the Veil, stuff like that. That Seal of Fire protected their Scourge, like, early in a really good way. Ours looks really bad now because they have a Scourge and we don't, but early on, they're... so if they have a 4th land, they can go Lurrus, buy back the seal to remove Bob. Or they have Thoughtseize. Okay. But their seal coming down early meant that we couldn't bolt their Scourge when they played it tapped out as a 3/3, because they would have sealed in response. Scourge would have survived. They would have targeted us with seal. So I think this mirror, or pseudo-mirror in our case, it seems pretty high variance. Oh my god, they've got everything in hand. Okay. Well, we still at least do have the chance to draw an out off the top, and we draw Inquisition. Okay, and we're 1 card shy of escaping Kroxa for the chump block. Good game, well played. It really was a good game, but we unfortunately do start off with Devil Rock dropping a game to the mirror. I don't know, it was my first time ever playing a League game with Scourge of the Skyclaves. It was also my first time ever playing a Scourge mirror at all. I think we did everything we could. I mean, if you look at the opponent's graveyard, that was their progression. It was a really strong one. We actually found 2 Scourges to their 1, but they managed to answer both, and we couldn't answer 1. So I think on the long average, we win a lot of those games, but we didn't win this one. But on we go to round 2. On the draw for round 2. It's an acceptable opening hand, but it's the exact thing we've been encountering, where we've got like 6 discard spells. We're not seeing any of those. The interaction we're seeing is sparse at best. In this case, we at least have a Lightning Bolt, which would have been great in the last league, but not in this one. We're against an Urza's Mind deck. So, I'm going to run out Marsh Flats in case it's Eldrazi Tron, and in case they do turn to Chalice, I will be able to fetch Shock Bolt in response. Or in case, I guess, if they play a Walking Ballista, we could bolt it. Maze Mind Tome. Alright. Alright. I don't feel good about this. They kept 7. Just drawing more lands, man. I promise the deck is powerful, but we are finding very one-dimensional progressions thus far. Like with a lot of these progressions, with all of these threats, a single key piece of interaction makes them very strong. But we also run the risk of them remaining one-dimensional, as we see here. And Maze Mind Tome is a really hard card for us to beat when the opponent has the luxury of time, because they get to make it into a draw engine, or they get to just scry with it for free a bunch of times. Either way, they're also going to get some free life gain off of it. So they scryed, what, in their upkeep did they do that? I was zoomed in and not paying attention. OP goes Expedition Map. Oh, but no natural third land, but they're going to have 7 mana on turn 4 anyway, unless we draw one of main deck Kolaghan's command, which we don't. So I guess we should just bauble the opponent for a little information, but we're going to get Troned. Sylvan Scrying. What? Maze Mind Tome and Green Tron. Okay. That is news to me, but fair enough. I'm going to get a Scourge down. We'll diversify our threats. We'll start playing to really clock them. I think if they had a removal that could kill a 2-2 Scourge, they would have already killed the 2-1 Bob with it. Bob seems pretty good against their deck. Whatever variant it is. And we'll play Seal of Fire as well. Okay, a third Scourge. I mean, it's definitely nice to have one, but we need other things, deck. Most likely, unless they just don't really have payoffs after all of this. Opponent with a real clunker of a progression with no natty third land. But they also didn't play map turn 1, so I don't think they had map in the opener. I mean, we know they didn't have map in the opener. Maybe there's a tension between map and tome on turn 2. It's kind of more what I'm trying to say. OP will just main phase draw a card. Can they use the floated mana to play another map or something? No. Okay. Don't know if I necessarily understand that either, but it probably doesn't matter. Because we're about to get Troned. Oh, but we draw Thoughtseize. Okay. That's good. They have 7 cards. I'm sure they have more than one payoff. But this can let us know exactly what to play into and maybe take away the most unbeatable one. But they have double Karn Liberated, double Ulamog, double Sylvan Scrying, and a Wormcoil Engine. I think we pretty easily take the Wormcoil here, and then we are going to try to win through the Karns. And obviously if they draw an Urza's Tower off the top, that'll be a disaster, but they're not going to do that. So we'll take Wormcoil. I guess we can see what they're going to draw, even with this Mishra's Bauble. I was thinking about bobbling myself, but might as well bauble the opponent Oblivion Stone. Okay, but they will not have the mana to cast it and activate it, right? Right. So let's go all in on the Scourges, and I think we've got the kill here. Not here, but next turn. Scourge is one big boy. Okay, kind of turning the corner out of nowhere, as the deck does. Thoughtseize was an incredible draw there. Absolutely incredible draw. Agadeem's Awakening off the top. Yeah, opponent does get to scry here, which I guess is probably the thing to do. And wisely bottoming the Oblivion Stone. But they can't cast Ugin either, so I guess they need to find probably exactly Urza's Tower for Ulamog, and don't think they have that. Trying to think of what else they could have here. Maybe Karn Liberated into Ensnaring Bridge, which would hilariously shut off our Skyclave, Scourge of the Skyclaves attacks, even though they'd have like 6 cards in hand or whatever it was. Anyway, we get there. Feels good. Feels really good, because it looked like a game one we were about to lose horribly. And the draw Thoughtseize at the right time. Yeah, the Scourges had a great clock. Dark Confidant contributing. Love to see all of that. And I think we're just going to play our Abrades and Cleansing Wildfires. Yeah, I'm not used to seeing Maze Mind Tome in Mono Green Tron, but we're going to sideboard just like it is Mono Green Tron. And that's probably just something that is fine to do that I'm not necessarily aware of. So out comes Spellbomb. Out come Fatal Pushes until we see otherwise. And I think Vexing Devil should stay in, probably. Seal of Fire we can cut. Maybe leaving 1 in for the Lurrus synergy. And speaking of the Lurrus synergy, do we want to like trim a Lurrus because it's really slow? I think I may. I think that might be correct here. 1 Lurrus goes down. And we're pretty well configured, I would say. And we'll see if they've got any nasty surprises for us. You know, if there's something that we're not prepared for, we can always reconfigure. But I do kind of like where we're at right now. Yeah, so I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on that mirror we played in round 1. For those who have played a lot more than me with this card and the cards around it, is the more grindy Scourge, we'll keep this hand obvious keep. Yeah. Is the more grindy Scourge deck that we're bringing to the table favored there? I suspect that it probably would be. You know, they had like Temur Battle Rage in post side, and while I don't think that's as bad as it would be against like a BGX deck, it's still probably not what ideal for the opponent. Tron OP going down to 5. It's still very dangerous, but with Thoughtseize into Cleansing Wildfire, we're about as well covered against nutty 5s or sub 5s as we can be. We have 2 lands to cast the stuff we need to cast. We've got 2 Baubles for redraws. We've got a Dark Confidant for T2 if we don't need to Wildfire, or to start doing Bob things after the fact if we do. It's all very nice. It's so nice that I almost just don't want to see them go turn 1 Forest, because that'd represent Veil of Summer, but they don't. Very nice. So, since we have a plethora of options, I was going to say, why don't we Bauble ourselves? Yeah, I think we'll Bauble ourselves and the opponent. Why not, right? It's a little worse against like a Relic, but... Okay, so let's start by Baubling ourselves. We're about to draw Scourge of the Skyclaves. I accept. So I'm going to shock in here. Bauble the opponent to see what their draw is going to be, and then Thoughtseize. They're about to draw Sylvan Scrying. Okay. They have Thragtusk Wormcoil Engine. They have Mine Power Plant, and they're about to draw Scrying. Probably supposed to take the Thrag. Wormcoil's stronger, but they're both strong in similar ways, and we have to assume our Wildfire is going to stop Tron. So I'll take the Thrag Daddy. Opponent probably does not like to see that, because that signals to them that we have an answer to turn 4 Tron, which they would otherwise be able to assemble. And we draw another Scourge, okay. So if they're just going to go scrying this turn, yeah, then I think we're supposed to play a threat, but I guess it's got to be Bob because I haven't taken any damage yet. Ooh, we draw Thoughtseize. Yeah, we can wait on that, can't we? I guess we can, so Bob time. And that's really good, because then we can open on the Thoughtseize before we Wildfire next turn to see if they have any backup copies of either of these Tron lands in hand that they've played so far. Oh, they got another Scrying. Okay, well, we'll Wildfire the one they don't get, right? And we get to Thoughtseize the Wormcoil. It's all pretty good. But the opponent has, like, top-decked well enough that, you know, we haven't... Certainly not fully out of the woods yet. What are they going to get here? They're tanking. I was just assuming they'd get a backup Tron piece of some kind. They get a backup tower. All right. I guess. Bobby flips a Kroxa. Down goes Wormcoil. Total coin flip as to which land to hit, so I'll hit the untapped one because it is technically better practice, and hope to be rewarded for that decision by the opponent not top-decking a backup versus mine anytime ever. Alright, so we're about to hit them down to 18, and we have drawn the 4th land. Our life total is getting pretty low, especially if we have to shock that in, but we will be able to play double Scourge next turn if we want to. Opponent's drawn some action. Oh no, Expedition Map! Okay, so now we're soft to a payoff. Bobby flips Bloodstained Mire. We have Vexing Devil, huh? Okay. I mean, there's not really a great way to play around too many of these payoffs. Part of me wants to play Kroxa right now, just so I can escape it next turn as a potential play. And it does bolt them. It will grow the Scourge. We'll have a 7/7 Scourge when this is all said and done. Sure. Getting the tower out of their hands not bad either, right? Just in case we draw more Cleansing Wildfires or something. There's definitely some incentive to just jam double Scourge, but you know, it is an interesting spot. That is for sure. Okay. So, of course, it didn't matter what land we hit because they drew the map. So now they'll go get Urza's Mine. Unless they think they can survive a turn and like tutor a Blast Zone or something. But no. Urza's Mine, try to draw lethal. That's the play, but... Or try to draw payoff, rather. But they didn't, hopefully. Then we can... Okay, Vexing Devil. Thoughtseize. Well, if we Thoughtseize into Veil of Summer, that would really suck. But if they have anything besides Veil of Summer, we Thoughtseize, take it away. Or if it's a land, it whiffs, and that's fine. Then Kroxa being escaped is lethal. Because that will bolt them down to 10, and then Scourge of the Skyclaves will single-handedly finish the job, even if they have, like, a spatial contortion for Bob or something, so sure. Can't think of anything that punishes us for this besides maybe Veil of Summer. They have Blast Zone. Hey, I smelled the Blast Zone coming. I did. I did, but we do get there. Thanks to Scourge, Kroxa, and Bob. What a trio. Love to see that. All the way down at 4 life on turn 5 against Tron, who has dealt no damage to us. Talk about aggro. You know, that by itself tells you why these decks often play Death Shadow and often adopt a more aggressive plan, because we take such a toll on our own life total, right? So that's definitely something to consider. That said, Kroxa's been amazing, obviously, in the league. The card is just nutty. Card is just really good. It's so much cooler than Uro, and so much fairer than Uro, but still really good, because a lot of the structural similarities are shared. And anyway, no real exciting moments yet for Vexing Devil, but besides that, the deck is operating as intended and looking really, really good. Narrowly lost to Mishra due to not having the removal that opponent had, I think, more than anything, and absolutely dumpstering Tron here in round 2. Okay, we've lost the die roll again in round 3, but we will keep, at long last, seeing an Inquisition or a discard spell of any kind, really, in a blind game 1, which is always great. Vexing Devil, we don't know how to rate yet in the matchup. Opponent, maybe on Cat Rock. Maybe, just maybe on Cat Rock, because they go Bauble into Inquisition, taking away our Inquisition. That makes a ton of sense. And, yeah, not a hand that wants to get discarded, but we'll play our Vexing Devil. We'll play Sexy Vexy. The card, as I say in testing, was actually surprisingly good at just kind of turning the corner out of nowhere. But against a 1-for-1 deck, it's probably not what we want to see. What I was going to say is that the Inquisition in a blind is great, and also Kroxa makes me feel really good about keeping a 3-spell 4-land hand, because Kroxa is going to be escaped at some point as long as the opponent cannot kill us beforehand or stop that from happening, and that makes a relatively light-on-gas keep a lot more attractive. Opponent with Polluted Delta, so are we against a Sultai deck, or is that just their... No, it is Sultai. Okay. Don't know what I should be expecting here. Is this Sultai Shadow? Probably. Yep. Okay, Shadow, Hold Up, Stubborn Denial, or Fatal Push, or Dismember, or whatever. If this deck plays Thought Scour, Haven't seen Sultai Shadow in quite a while. Opponent, yeah, they tank and then they Thoughtseize. They take Kroxa. So that leads me to believe they also had something else to hold up, and look at us just drawing lands off the top. Feels bad. Alright, Bob, get out there. They snap took Kroxa. Imagine they have a kill spell for Bob. So the type of opening hand that is very beatable from the opponent's perspective. Once again, as in round 1, it might come down to, can we draw Fatal Push or Liliana? Opponent seems to have Dismember. And then what? And then Tarmogoyf. Alright. Liliana's no longer... I mean, we now need 2 removal spells of those kinds, and we don't have that many. And we draw a 3rd land. Okay, we're dead. Man, just like no agency in that game. That felt so bad. Our keep is totally fine in the blind, but they had a bit of a nut draw. Turn 4 kill while casting a removal spell and 2 discard spells, and seemingly holding up a 1-mana negate as well. Okay, you got us. So we're going to play Feed the Swarm. And we're going to see what's bad. I don't know what else we want. I mean, are we supposed to, like, try to mana screw them with Cleansing Wildfire? Honestly, maybe. Because I think a lot of the burn is pretty bad. Vexing Devil's pretty bad. I'm going to cut the Devils. I'm going to play Cleansing Wildfire, man. It feels good. Feels good to play the Wildfire and have that angle of free win potential, but admittedly I don't know how many basics I expect them to play. But it could complicate matters for them for sure. I also don't know if I'm supposed to play Leyline of the Void. It feels wrong. Because it's such a bad top deck and a very value-oriented matchup. But if we really think we should be moving away from the burn spells altogether and pivoting to a totally different plan, I think we could actually justify it. We leave like a Seal of Fire in to loop with Lurrus, and that's a pretty clean way to sideboard. We don't really, like, we lose the ability to cheese the game with burn. And that's not nothing. Like, there is a world in which we leave in most of these 9 burn effects that we've cut for that very reason, but once again, like, we came here to play a more mid-rangey version of a very powerful archetype, so I think we should mostly follow that signal. The problem is that Leyline, unlike Nihil Spellbomb, for example, is not especially good as a mid-rangey, grindy card. However, all that said, I will still play it. I think this is an interesting way to sideboard. I think that it's probably optimal too. But we will have to see how it does for us. This is not a matchup I really want to see. I think they have a lot of tools against us. They're a Fatal Push deck, and our burn plan is not reliably good. That said, this hand's pretty nutty from us. We're definitely keeping. 2 lands, 2 discard spells, Kroxa, Bob, Wildfire. Love to see that. Opponent mulls. Love to see that too. We are probably a lot more favored on the play, so I'm feeling great about this one. I'm already starting to worry about game 3, right? But maybe we shouldn't count our chickens just yet. Let's try to win game 2 first. But, you know, if we could reserve a deep mulligan for the opponent, it would be for that game 3 with us on the draw, right? That's when we'd really want to use it. But, yeah, they just smoked us G1. That was intense. Alright, shock. Okay. They have double Bauble, they have Scourge, they have Stubby D. Just gonna take the threat. Probably plan to jam Bob next turn and make them find a kill spell for him. Opponent's gonna scry. Then they're gonna Bauble us. Opponent says, you will not be happy for your draw. Oh, okay then. Why is that, OP? Leyline of the Void? Yep, that is true. Classic example as to why I consider Leyline the, what did I say on Discord the other day? It's kind of like the break glass in case of graveyard-related emergency card for BGX. I'm still going to play Bob, though, when we're going to, again, make them find removal. Because, they obviously have. Man, sometimes when Shadow does this, it's kind of frustrating to play against, even though it's a really cool deck. For exactly this reason. If this was any of our other normal graveyard tech, that'd be a perfectly fine draw. Now it is a complete disaster. Just like basically a dead card, especially against this matchup. Again, which is why I kind of hesitated before bringing it in. But I think if we're cutting most burn, it's easy enough to bring in the ley lines and cut the rest. Still leaving in one seal to loop with Lurrus. But yeah. So, we know about the stub. There are 3 unknowns in hand. Opponent going Fetch, Shock, Goyf. Okay. Us with a Scourge of the Skyclaves. Okay, we're getting clunk. We're getting a lot of clunk here. I like kind of want to cast Cleansing Wildfire to try to screw them a little bit, and also to try to like get lucky and draw a black land so we can double spell and start curving out. Because this is pretty bad. This is a good way for us to lose the game. Casting Kroxa is fine though, but like we also need to dig for answers. So the high upside line is Wildfire and finding like a Blackcleave Cliffs. On the other hand, they clearly have a bunch of good stuff in hand, so I am gonna play Kroxa. After we get hit by the Goyf, Scourge will be huge. Oh, especially because they pitch a land. I didn't really... yeah, okay, fair enough. I didn't read them for a land, but that's fine. We've got a huge Scourge coming down. And we draw the Blackcleave Cliffs. Nice, so we will begin with a Thoughtseize here. Opponent will stub it, that's fine. I hope. Here's our Scourge. Now we just hope they don't have their second fatal push of the game. Legion's End. Brutal. Okay. Now we need a Liliana or push. We can do it. We've got these cards around. Feed the Swarm. Any of this is great. Seal of Fire. We draw our 1 Seal of Fire. Okay. Wonderful. I guess we're going to take them off of red because maybe they have TBR. They could kill us next turn. Also, I think they're very unlikely to have a basic mount in the deck. So, Wildfire, hit the red land. Please give us a fatal push one time. One time fatal push. Mishra's Bauble. Well, I'm going to... I guess Bauble myself, and if we're not drawing push, we can play Seal of Fire out. Feed the Swarm is what we're going to draw? Okay. That's an out, so sure, we'll play Seal of Fire, but notably not going to activate it before the Tarmogoyf connects. No, we cannot even actually cast Feed the Swarm, because we're going to be down to 2. So never mind that. That's actually very rough. Yeah, so in these kind of black-based mirrors, our deck is just drawn the wrong half. Feels awful. Feels awful. So now we need to draw another removal spell. We've drawn Marsh Flats. Okay. This lets us escape Kroxa. At 1 life. Who does outsize Goyf, but if they have another removal spell, we're dead. Yeah, so the Leyline obviously just very dead, but we were likely leaving in a Bolt or a Seal of Fire in its place. It's possible we don't have enough to do in these, like, Scourge, Mirrors, or Shadow matchups. Seagate Stormcaller. Whoa! Spice moment. Okay, does opponent have a way through the big guy? They have at least one more land. No attack. Okay, okay. It's the hope that kills, because we draw another friggin' land off the top. Oh, boy. Should we even cast Leyline of the Void? Does it even matter? Does it even matter anymore? Can't believe this. I can't believe this. Feed the Swarm. Alright, well, I mean, if they have another land in hand, we bolt them to 8, we then force the chump block, because then they're dead to Seal of Fire. The problem is if they have literally anything else, we're just dead. So I'm just going to cast... Now, I shouldn't even cast Leyline of the Void. I think I should hold it. It's got to be better to bluff, right? Like, we run the risk of them Thoughtseizing it, I guess. And thereby growing the Goyf, forcing us to jump. But I don't know. OP with a Scourge of the Skyclaves. Okay. Okay, then. Us with a Nihil Spellbomb. Well, I'm glad... Yeah, okay. Sure, Spellbomb. Immediately cracking it. Our stuff is just so poorly timed compared to the opponents here. Oh, well, they might... I guess their last card is probably Stub because they're tanking here. Hey, we find a Scourge. That's a really good draw, especially if we are reading them for a Stub. Alright, the game goes on. With us clinging on at 1 life. And hey, remember we're on the play and the opponent mauled and we had a nutty opening hand. And we're still just like at 1 life, barely clinging on. Probably going to lose anyway. Opponent with a Goyf. Okay. If their last card is Stub, we're still in trouble. Fatal Push. Let's go. All right. Yeah, stub check. They have it. They sure do have it, don't they? My goodness. But, we attack, we put them to 7. Yeah, Seal of Fire doesn't do it. Okay. Yeah, of course they added another stub. If Feed the Swarm was a normal removal spell, we'd be doing a little bit better. That's the understatement of the Sanctuary, though, right? Yeah, we just say go and bluff, I guess. Maybe I skip past attacks too quickly. We can't really escape Kroxa, that's our problem. Like, even if we were to attack and force some kind of action. Opponent baubled us. And they're going to say go. Alright, so the bluff is working. They're going to draw a fresh one. They're going to know about our bauble. Okay. This is really... Okay, they're about to draw Cling to Dust, huh? Dang. This is really kind of agonizing, isn't it? We just, like... It's really weird to not have had the win locked up. Oh, another Bauble off the top. Get out of here. This is too bad. It's too slow. No. Alright. Opponent's gotta go for it any time now. As soon as they do, we're just dead. Okay. Abrupt Decay. Yet another piece of hard removal that works for them, whereas ours is like Seal of Fires or Feed the Swarm that came down too late to be castable. I think these matchups are fine, but we're getting a little unlucky. In playing them, you do understand why the kind of neither here nor there approach that we're doing here does have a few flaws. If we had a more clearly demarcated mid-range plan with a high density of fatal pushes and hard removal, like a couple of cards I suggested, like Dreadbore, even Angrath's Rampage, you could see us getting there. Or if we had a more aggressive slant like the current stock way to do it is, you could also see us maybe getting there, but in a higher variance way in matchups like this. As it is, we are caught in a little bit of a nether region where if our stuff lines up, we arguably have a higher ceiling maybe than either deck. But yeah, just losing these Scourge mirrors feels pretty bad because it's kind of like any other mirror, right? A lot of it comes down to who has the mirror-breaking cards, and in this case, it doesn't even really seem to be, like, outgrinding the opponent. It's like, can you kill the opponent's Scourge while preventing them from killing yours? So there you go. Fun games, a fun league so far, but we are kind of getting punished for running into these mirrors, it seems. Round 4. Bad beats continue. It's a 5-lander with Bolt and Bob. I think we gotta send that one back. This one looks much better. We will keep it. And we will bottom, strangely enough, a Blackcleave Cliffs because, number 1, the Cliffs don't let Locthwain come in untapped, and number 2, we might indeed want to lower our own life total a little bit more than the Thoughtseize will allow with this fetch land and or fill up the graveyard for Kroxa. OP on a Flooded Strand deck of some kind, which is usually very bad for us on black-based mid-range when we've mulliganed, but we'll see what it is. Oh, it's Mill. Triple Glimpse the Unthinkable and a Surgical Extraction. Okay. Easy take of a Glimpse. And they have no control elements currently available to them. They're just kind of racing us, and having had a Thoughtseize there is really nice in that regard. Okay, opponent milling over a Kroxa. It's the most noteworthy thing. Would love to draw a Bob or a Scourge right now. some kind of proactive clock. Then they're going to surgical Kroxa. That makes sense, I guess. Should probably be done on the draw step, though, right? Unless they're afraid of us having, like, Cling to Dust in hand to compete over it. Well, we've drawn Vexing Devil. That's definitely a part of a clock. Surely opponent just takes the 4 here. Indeed they do. Alright. We're gonna fetch and hope they don't have an Archive Trap as their only unknown in hand. Get the Seal of Fire down. Still no Bauble in the yard is a little rough, just because it makes Lurrus on curve not that effective. But opponent's about to mill us again. Yep. Will they give us a Bauble this time? No Bauble? What? Come on. Okay, then. Maybe we'll draw one. We've gone through half the deck. Hey, we do draw a Bauble. Okay, so even though it speeds us through the deck a little bit more, which against Mill is far from free, it's still what we're going to do. I technically should have played and activated the Bauble first. They're about to draw another Glimpse. We're going to face the 4 Glimpse in the top 10 cards Mill progression. Oh my goodness. This league is rough, but maybe they'll fetch it away here, actually. They will not. They just know there's something good on the top. We draw another Bauble. Oh, man. This league is so brutal. It really is. They're holding the Mystic Sanctuary, I guess. Surgical coming off the top for the opponent if they don't fetch it away. We draw Blackcleave Cliffs, Seal of Fire. Alright, well it's time to just start looping the seals. Probably. Or do we buy back a Scourge? Scourge is a little awkward with Lurrus' life gain in terms of being an actual clock. I guess buying back Vexing Devil is better. Buying back Seal here. So I didn't really need to activate Seal. Shouldn't matter in the least, though. Okay, we should have the kill next turn, failing or pending any craziness out of the opponent here. And you know, Vexing Devils have done 8 damage. It's definitely very relevant in this spot. Okay, so opponent has fetched away the Surgical. They could play discard, so I'm going to Bauble them after they untap, I guess. But they're dead on board to the Lurrus. They're also dead to us buying back a Seal of Fire. We also have a shock from Kolaghan's command, so I really think, should we even Bauble them the draw of a card? I don't think that changes anything. Putting us from 16 to 15 shouldn't change anything. What is this? A Crypt Incursion. Oh boy. Opponents at 27 life. Great. Great. Just awesome. Just love it. Us with a Nihil Spellbomb and a Blood Crypt. Does it get much worse? I don't really think so. And I don't really think... well... Alright. Extraction's been shuffled away. We know they have a Mystic Sanctuary in hand. I think I'm just going to begin by spellbombing them, looking for some other action. But at this stage, I don't exactly know what we're looking for. We've had all our creatures exiled from the graveyard. We've had all... yeah, and Scourge, a big non-bow with Lurrus' life gain, and the opponent's life gain for that matter. Opponent's just super teched for us, it seems. I guess we are going to... just start buying Seals of Fire back. I'll shock here because there's no reason not to. And, like, hope to fade mill spells long enough to, you know, hit the opponent for 5 minimum per turn, plus whatever else we can put together and get there. Blood Crypt. Just gonna loop Seals for now. Yep, all a little bit rough here, to say the least. We did identify when we were... Okay, there's Hedron Crab. Dang. At least we have K-Command for it. So I think what we should probably do is force the fetch with this Seal of Fire, and then in response to the fetch, we will... K-Command to shock it and make the opponent discard. Thankfully, this is Hedron Crab and not Ruin Crab. Notably, it dies to Seal of Fire in the K-Command shock. But the opponent still did basically gain 2 life off of that. We draw another Seal of Fire. Well, that's our plan, isn't it? I'm not sure if we're supposed to draw a card with Castle Locthwain or not. We'll just see. See what their turn yields. I mean, we've seen all 4 glimpse the unthinkable, so I guess I probably will draw a card. It's like looking for a lightning bolt, right? Instead we find Mountain, and then we find Blackcleave Cliffs. And I'm just on that Seal of Fire train. That's all I want to do. That's all we're able to do. This is yet another, like, mega bizarre league, isn't it? Okay, so opponent's dead next turn if they don't have anything, but they've had plenty of turns to find something. Visions of Beyond to draw 3. Sure. Ancestral Vision off the top. Sure. But, like, a lot of things don't bail them out here, despite that. Mystic Sanctuary. Buying back visions, yes, yes. Sanctuary is finally deployed. Once again, I don't really see how drawing a card with Castle Locthwain hurts us here. Crypt Incursion. Gaining 3, exiling their own crab. Yep. Us with an Inquisition. Okay. And then Marsh Flats. Okay, we're going to start with the seal. Then it's Inquisition time. Archive Trap, Nephalia, Drownyard, Polluted Delta. So we're just dead to the hard cast Archive Trap. Opponent at 2, right? Unless... Unbelievable. And it had to be Inquisition when we're a 4 Thoughtseize 2 Inquisition deck. You couldn't make it up. So, yeah, the opponent's at 2. So I guess we need to play Locthwain and try to draw Lightning Bolt or the 4th Seal of Fire. So we have 1 Bolt and 1 Seal to draw to. Maybe there's other stuff, but I don't think so. We draw Dark Confidant. Why? If only the opponent had gained like 22 life instead of 24 life. They'd be dead. This is an absurdity. I will concede. Tilt, tilt, tilt. Well, losing the mirrors was kind of tilting, and that was worse. That was worse. Okay, then. I don't think we have much we want to do here besides Collective Brutality, which does kill Hedron Crab. Takes away all those mill spells and control spells from the hand. I think that's all. They haven't shown us Mesmeric Orb. They haven't shown us Ensnaring Bridge, so I'm not going to play Abrade until we know we need it, just because there's a lot else to worry about with a deck like this, and... I think I'm actually going to cut a Lurrus, even though Lurrus was our MVP there. The life gain was shutting off our own Scourge of the Skyclaves, and granted Scourge can get hosed by Crypt Incursion anyway, but I think cutting like the grindy draw package makes sense against Mill. And then I'm going to cut a Fatal Push too, like I think leaving 1 in is fine. Just because answering an early crab is huge. Are we expecting any reason for Feed the Swarm specifically for enchantments? Not necessarily. I think I'm just going to do some conservative siding like this and run it on back. I can't believe we lost that one. That was a little brutal, not going to lie. So far, while I love the spice, I am feeling like we're getting extremely punished with our matchups for just not playing a more stock version of Rakdos Scourge. And that's a shame, because when we do something off the beaten path, we'd like it to thrive. We'd like to really see it excel. And it does not appear as though we will be so lucky. But we've got a pretty good keep on the play. I'm going to Fetch and Shock early, partially so we can get Oh, they do have Leyline of the Void. Interesting. Yeah, I don't think I care all that much about that. Like, obviously, like we sided a little away from Lurrus, it makes Kroxa worse, but it's also going to make their own Visions of Beyond worse and things like that. So anyway, Effect Shock early, partially to start losing life for our clock, and partially to fetch at least once as soon as possible before they have chance to draw Archive Traps. They have double Mesmeric Orb. Well, we didn't see it game one, and we saw a lot of their deck, but okay, so we're pretty punished, I guess, for not having any Abrades in, but do we want to take one or do we want to take a Glimpse? I think I'm going to take one, partially because they can't cast Glimpse yet. Partially because it might be correct to do so anyway. They have double Island. We have a Vexing Devil. Okay, it's a pretty good draw, actually, because we can't cast Scourge yet anyway. Guess I'm going to fetch and shock on their upkeep. Might as well not let them have a draw step to see another chance at an Archive Trap, right? And we're going to shock partially to hold up Lightning Bolt in case they have a Crab, partially in case they don't have a Crab and we just want to bolt upstairs to get them down to 13, partially get ourselves down to 14 for good old Scourge. They will play Mesmeric Orb, but we will play Lightning Bolt. And then we'll mill 2. Everything's going to be exiled. And they have Glimpse the Unthinkable, 2 Unknowns in hand. Whoops, I'm on the wrong tab here. Alright. So, we've lost some decent stuff, but the draw of Thoughtseize is great. Absolutely great here. Puts us down to 12, makes the Scourge a 7/7, and clears the way for it. And they have Drown in the Lock, which I guess is totally dead in the face of their own Leyline, right? Counter target spell or destroy target creature with a converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of cards in its controller's graveyard. So that card's totally dead for the near future. Then they have Glimpse the Unthinkable and Mind Funeral. I'm just going to take Glimpse. And then also, on top of all that, their entire hand is uncastable. So, feeling okay. They're dead in 2 hits to this guy. OP mills over the fetch land they could have used to cast their spells, and then they'll just scoop. Alright, so a lot of non-bows going on there on the opponent's side of the table. It's kind of what I said when we saw the Leyline. It's like, okay, I get it. But do we really care? I don't know. That said, Feed the Swarm is now more justifiable because we know they do play Leyline, and there are some progressions we have where we would be interested in removing it. I think Abrade is definitely coming in. 1 Abrade over 1 Fatal Push is a slam dunk. Abrade will kill the crabs, and even though it's a little slower, and it will kill Mesmeric Orb. Do we want a second Abrade? I could see it. I think I'm going to not play Feed the Swarm, and I'm just going to kind of ignore their Leylines of the Void. I think I'm going to play Abrade and cut yet another Lurrus. So we've only got 1 Lurrus to grind at the top end. I think that's completely fine. Let's do it. Let's get there. Let's get there. We can do it. And yeah, we don't need our graveyard all that much, especially if we're edging away from the Lurrus package. OP will keep 7. We will too. It's a fine keep. It's way better on the play because we don't have turn 1 removal. And I just knew they'd have a turn 1 crab. So I'll begin by bobbling myself. We're about to draw Lily of the Veil. All right. We get to have an affinity-style turn where we play 3 artifacts T1. We get to draw a bunch of cards, which again is of, like, questionable value sometimes against Mill. An opponent just rips the fetch land off the top to make the crab great. Interestingly, not choosing to do it main phase, the second one, that is. We draw a second Lily and a Vexing Devil, so no way to kill the crab for 2 turns in a row is a complete disaster. Complete and utter disaster. I actually think we kind of need to cast a Collective Brutality here to clear the way for a resolved Liliana. It's the only way to kill the crab, and it might be the only way to win the game. And we're just too slow to race them by, like, saying we'll play a Bob. It's just not good enough. So, I'm just gonna Brutality as a bad duress. Disastrous, disastrous. I think we're very unfavored. Oh, we get a Crypt Incursion and they have all lands in hand, and the crab's going to do a ton of damage. But if they also don't draw, like, Permission or a second crab off the top, then we'll go Liliana, Edict them, and take it from there. They put a Kroxa into the yard. That is nice. That is very nice indeed. Giving us something really scary to work toward. Just finding all the baubles here. Okay, we're going to Liliana Edict the opponent. And they'll fetch in response. They don't fetch in response. Why? What am I missing? I was going to say they'll fetch in response and then we'll have, you know, better information off the Bauble. But I'm wrong. Okay. All right. Mesmeric Orb. Yeah, you got it. I mean, that's not good either. But as far as I can tell, opponent left a little value on the table. They're about to draw another crab. They're clearly winning the race, though. And we can't find a 4th land to escape Kroxa despite seeing a million cards. A million, I say. Yeah, this is so rough. Maybe they'll fetch the crab away. Either way, we're going to, I guess, take up pitch the other Liliana is fine. I guess it's just Bauble, Devil, Bob, right? You know, we can still get there, but I feel that we have had some pretty rough luck in this game 3 against the opponent's progression, which is so beatable. I kind of want to Bauble myself just on the off chance I'm going to draw an Abrade, and then maybe I'll hold off on Bob. I'll Abrade their orb before. We're about to draw a Thoughtseize, okay. Not an Abrade, probably not good at all. And then it's Dark Confidant, so we're doing the mill deck's work for it to a large degree with all these draw effects, while also kind of failing to race them effectively. I guess they really want to get this Crypt Incursion back. I guess that's probably why they haven't fetched. They probably want to go get Mystic Sanctuary. which is one major reason I really need to escape the Kroxa. I really just need to do it. But we can't draw another land to save our lives. It's insane. It's insane. Just gonna pitch the Thoughtseize and go all in on the burn plan, even though they're gonna try to compete over it with Crypt Incursion. Alright. We'll see how good these Vexing Devils are at closing out the game. I believe they have a crab in hand, but don't quote me on that. I don't think they fetched it away, though. I admittedly am not certain of that. Well, Vexing Devils give them more Crypt Incursion fuel. We just have to hope they don't have another one, or that we can compete over their attempt to get this one back. The Vexing Devils will be a 1-mana deal 1 if they do resolve a Crypt Incursion. They don't go for Mystic Sanctuary there. Had they double fetched, they would have been dead to Lightning Bolt. Ensnaring Bridge. Okay, so I was wrong about the crab. Alright, Bob, find us lethal. Castle Locthwain, Bloodstained Mire. Okay. Oh, Kroxa. Yeah. Kroxa's online now. I guess that's fine. If only we hadn't missed a land for so long, we could have lethal here too. Okay, OP's at 1. They can't crack the fetch. If they draw Mystic Sanctuary naturally to try to buy back Crypt Incursion, we can compete over it. Alright, they've got another Mesmeric Orb, so they're dead. So they're dead. So we did it. But it was pretty close. Bolt. See you later. Another interesting line would be, we could edict our own Kroxa with Liliana and then escape him to do another Lava Spike on a Hellbent opponent. So, woo, I feel we earned that one in a significant way. Not saying that I, as always, I could miss something. As always, I could have played suboptimally in some way. I could have not sideboarded correctly. But I feel we got punished at a lot of turns there and had to really scrape our way over the line, and it proved to be really close, and specifically dropping that game 1 was a little bit rough. Admittedly, they gave us a free win in game 2 due to some unlucky non-bows and an unlucky mulligan to 6, right? So that was a little bit of a freebie, but games 1 and 3 were so tight, so rough, but we do kind of limp over the line here, and honestly, Kroxa continues to be just mind-bogglingly impressive. Basically everywhere I play him. Maybe, I think a lot of people are a little lower on Kroxa in Jund lately. He's kind of like worse in Jund than he is in all of the straight Rakdos shells, like Rakdos Skelemental, this deck, Prowess decks. I love him everywhere that it's straight black-red, and I do think he's also quite good in Jund, but especially in these decks, just can't get enough of him, and he does everything we want to do when we're on any kind of an archetype like this. So anyway, we come back to parity. It's been a tough league, but we are still 2-2. Let's try to go cash. 5th and final round. Hope you guys are having fun, and yeah, it's a weak-ish but keepable hand on the play. We do have Castle Locthwain to dig us maybe to more action in this action-light hand, but we're hoping Seal of Fire kills something early. And then we are hoping Dark Confidant can run away with the game. Scourge of the Skyclaves looking really good. Opponent, MT Gilligan. Hello, my friend. Enjoy your content. I'll say, hey there, my friend. Thanks a ton. Always love to hear that. We're going to respect the potential of Burner Prowess by just leading on Mountain. Doesn't let us play Castle Locthwain next turn untapped, but our hand's very painful as it is. Until we know what the opponent's on, it's probably better to do that in the blind. MT Gilligan, thanks for the kind words. Do appreciate it. And the opponent will go fetch for a basic island into Serum Visions. Going top. I don't know what that means, I'll be honest. Don't know what it means, but we've drawn more lands. Not what we want. Let's play the Bobby. And, basic Island Serum Visions deck, there's every chance they don't have an answer for Bob on curve. But as I say that, they shock into Steam Vents. Probably going to bolt him. They're going to Scred to do 1 damage. MT Gilligan. That was a stylish play. Alright then. Well, maybe they can't kill a 3/3 Scourge. We've drawn Nihil Spellbomb, so I guess we are supposed to fetch shock. Play a Scourge at the risk of it getting bolted. If we wait longer, we could also lose it to permission, or rather have it not resolve to permission. They've got Spell Snare. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, you got it. Well, I think there's okay, Temur. Here we go, but I have to admit I'm a little baffled by the Scred, but all will become clear in time, I have no doubt. Wish we had this Lily to jam last turn, right? Now I'm a little bit afraid of permission, but we're still going to give it a shot. Oh no, MT Gilligan's got absolutely everything for us. If we had drawn things in a little bit of a different order, would have been okay. I still think it's correct to test the waters there, but yeah, that was a bit rough. I am going to end-step Spellbomb just to draw. If they're on Uro, it's not the perfect time to do it, but it does clear out 5 cards. They don't have a good snap play in response for value. There's no Opt, there's no Lightning Bolt, so we're just going to keep trying to dig for action. We found a Liliana. Let's draw a discard spell, and we do. Love to see it. Thoughtseize you. Clear the way for Lily, hopefully. Icefang Quattle. Okay. Lightning Bolt, Monolith, Spell Snare. Double Lightning Bolt, Monolith, Spell Snare. Well, kind of want to take a Bolt, actually. dump out our whole hand and take up and get the permission out of there this way with Lily, and now they can't double bolt her to take care of her. So the draw of a Thoughtseize there was really nice. Really, really nice. And they are going to bolt Lily. Makes a lot of sense. Of course, hoping to draw more burn or another way to pressure her off the field. They draw Serum Visions off the top, which seems really good. And they go bot. Alright, so we've got Liliana for the attrition, and we've got Castle Locthwain to start maybe drawing a couple cards. Let's see what we can draw here. Scourge of the Skyclaves. Well, we'll play it. We can pay for the Mana Leak. Remand they have. Okay, we can pay for, or we can play through that too, but it's pretty good for OP. Scourge, though, pretty good for us, right? Down goes Mana Leak as expected, so OP with 2 cards in hand. Us with a Scourge on the field, and that's the concession. Okay, so a 5/5 Scourge looking pretty tough for a Temur deck to kill. I suppose we have to suspect Uro here, but we didn't see it. We also didn't see the opponent draw a 4th land, so I think they had a lot of really good things at the exact right times, but they also seem to have experienced a bit of a fail rate. This is another matchup where I'm just not excited about Leyline of the Void, whereas I'd pretty happily bring in my Spellbombs and stuff. Maybe we still should, because we should suspect Uro. But alternative lines of attack would be like Cleansing Wildfire to mess with their lands. Maybe they're on Field of the Dead as well. That's a real possibility as a top-end win condition. Plague Man to beat the snakes, and Snapcaster Mages, and just another threat is okay. Collective Brutality is the only slam dunk. So I think I'm going to do Brutalities in, pushes out. I mean, Uro's just so bad for us. Like, I'm probably supposed to side the Leylines in sight unseen. Like, what kind of a Temur Control deck would not use the graveyard, right? So I think what we're going to do is bring in the Leylines, not really commit to like a Cleansing Wildfire plan, maybe not even play Plague Engineer until we see more of the opponent's deck, but for now, feeling priced into Leyline, and with that in mind, just going to trim around the edges here, lose a Bolt. Tempted to lose a Bob because there's no way it lives on the draw especially, but maybe that's incorrect. Yeah, I'm going to trim a little bit of the burn. And 1 Bob can go on the draw. There's not much I want to take out, but at the same time, a lot of the burn spells can probably just get shaved. But I don't want to do that until we know that the stuff we're bringing in is good. Okay, this is a 1-lander. There's no Leyline. But it is a Thoughtseize Kroxa hand, which is really good. We have the Bauble to find a 2nd land. We've got another couple 1-mana spells. I think I'm going to keep it. Mulling in the matchup seems bad. OP goes Island Pass. We draw the 2nd land immediately. Love to see it. And opponent's not representing Veil of Summer, so we'll just Bauble to see there's a Mana Leak coming off the top, and then we will Thoughtseize into the open island, seeing double Goyf. Okay, Tarmogoyf makes sense here. Double Goyf, opt, Misty. I'll take one of these Goyfs. We're running in to these decks with Tarmogoyf or with a Scourge and or Shadow, where we have kind of relatively few outs to them. Again, just because we're so all in on the burn package and we don't have quite enough fatal pushes. We don't have any Dreadbore, stuff like that. 5/6 Goyf, and, thankfully we can Lily Edict if we find a way to get her through the Mana Leak. But we'll play Bob, hoping to draw ways to make that happen. So opponent just going to opt to the top, play a land holding up the leak. Bloodstained Mire Mountain. Okay. Well, it's not very good. I mean, we did need a third land, and it's painless, so it's not the worst. But we really just need to draw fatal pushes to beat this Tarmogoyf at this stage. So I'm gonna Kroxa here, see what the opponent pitches, and then probably play a Vexing Devil to try to race. But it's obviously a little sketchy at best. But we can turn the corner out of nowhere, as you know, and we can escape Kroxa next turn. Theoretically. Opponent's probably surprised to see the devil hit the field. And they snap, let it resolve. Okay. I'm attacking. Right? Yeah, I'm attacking. Let's hope they don't have a Quattle to flash in here. That would be the nightmare. Nope. Okay. So, Mono League, 2 unknowns in hand. Goyf got us on a 2-turn clock, but if they have a bolt, or if we have to use this fetch land... Oh, no, they have another Goyf. Okay, we're pretty dead. But we draw a Scourge of the Skyclaves. Hello. Hello, Scourge. Sadly, we're just going to lose that to Mono League. So... Opponent's Mono League is the card that we've been unable to beat here. There's no way to put a kill together between Bob and Bolts. And if we play Liliana and they leak it, it's going to grow the Goyf to 6-7, and then we will be dead. So, we also can't fetch, because then we'll also be dead. So we need to have a mana-inefficient turn of play Scourge of the Skyclaves here. It's going to get mana leaked, or it's not. Wow, I get maybe our tanking kind of spooked the opponent into thinking we're sitting on fatal pushes or something. Maybe they have a way to deal with it easily, I don't know. But yeah, that seems good for us. Okay. Interesting. OP will fetch. I have a Cryptic to bounce and draw or something, or a Cryptic to tap the team down and swing for lethal, I guess is more likely. Jace the Mind Sculptor to bounce. Yeah, that'll do it too. So notably, we will not bolt the Jace before damage, because that would kill us too. But we'll bolt him after, so we need to be mana efficient. If we just draw Fatal Push, then we untap, we push one, we edict the other. We don't. Brutal. So because we're at exactly 1 and this is a fetch land, we're dead. If we just had any other land that entered untapped, we could edict and play Scourge, and then they'd have to try to beat that. There's nothing else we can do. We escape Kroxa, they just swing for lethal. So rough. Good game, though. Good game, well played. The Tarmogoyfs are tough for us to answer, that is for sure. Definitely didn't know they were in the deck, and wonder if that makes us want anything different. I think I'm going to bring back the Dark Confidant on the play. I guess we're just going to play our Fatal Pushes. Actually, we didn't even have Push in the deck. I kind of forgot about that. Admittedly, that was bad for me. Sorry. I didn't see Uro yet again. We're going to take Leylines out. Hopefully we can just slug through Uros if they have them. More realistically, we just hope they don't have them, right? So we've seen all the usual, like, early tempo-positive permission style cards, and we've also now seen Goyf and Jace. I don't think we're going to play Cleansing Wildfire. Plague Engineer is still a consideration. I don't think we want Feed the Swarm in this matchup, because, remember, Icefang Quattle's their way to really beat Scourge easily. So I think we're probably supposed to try to squeeze the Plague Men in here. Just probably cut a couple Vexing Devils, play more of a honest, grind you out type of game. I still kind of like trimming a Seal, a Bolt. I think that's fine. I still like playing these brutalities, even though they're bad. A lot of our stuff is bad at killing Goyf. Alright, here we go. Playing against a viewer of the channel for the Cached League on a really cool Temur Tarmogoyf deck. Oof. Can we keep this 5-lander? Oh man, our opening hands have been really unkind to us. We haven't had to mull that much, but we've had so many weak-ish keeps, and then a lot of 5-landers that we probably have to mull again. Yeah, this hand doesn't really do anything. I mean, if the opponent doesn't shock themselves early, we just do literally nothing until Lurrus on T3, which can't buy anything back. So we have to mull. We have to mull. This is a fine one, though. We'll keep it. Bottom a Plague Engineer or bottom a land? Or we'll bottom a Plague Man. Don't want to get too greedy here. Opponents have barely mulled besides the Tron matchup. That's a little rough as well. Opponent has Opt Remand, Serum Visions, and Jace the Mind Sculptor. Feel priced into the Jace, but leaving them with their ability to curve out and select a bunch of cards early against our hand is really bad. It's really bad. But we've got no way to deal with the Jace anytime soon. And at this point, we're almost hoping they, like, dig early for a Goyf, right? We've drawn Collective Brutality. That's a pretty good draw, honestly. Taker, man. They do have a Snapcaster Mage. Good to know. We didn't see those in the first 2 games. It's not entirely surprising, but Kolaghan's Command. I think that makes me want to just play Lurrus. Even though there's nothing to buy back yet, or at all. I think I'm just going to play him as a bear. And if the opponent finds a kill spell, that's a good K-command use case. But obviously, Bauble would be great here, wouldn't it? Opponent will opt to the bottom. And then play a Triome. How interesting. Okay. Oh, we draw Blood Crypt. So rough. No recursion from a resolved Lurrus against a control-ish deck is pretty bad, right? Opponent just taking the hit here. Not going for like a flash Snapcaster block or anything like that. Okay, we are punished for the safer play of bottoming Plague Man instead of a land, I guess. No, we would have just drawn the 3rd land there, right? So, maybe not really. Tarmogoyf. Okay, in case they drew a Monoleak, I'm probably supposed to untap first. Before casting the push. Nice. Now we attack, and if they go for the snap flash block, we will shock it and go upstairs with the discard mode. I guess the same applies to Icefang Quattle. They've just got Lightning Bolt, okay. So their hand is Snap, and then they're about to Bolt. Mountain. Alright, I'm going to play the Bob, which I think will price them into a Snap Bolt next turn, and then we can have a good window for K-Command, I assume. This is a really interesting final round. They're going to Quattle first, because we know they have the Mountain in hand, they can still, but they play Island. Okay. Accomplishes the same thing. Yeah, they can still go Snap Bolts, which they will. So I believe they still have Mountain in hand. We have Liliana the Veil. It's not bad, but it's kind of medium. Anyway, let's... I don't want to make them discard because I think they have a Mountain, so I'm going to shock the Quattle and buy back Lurrus. And then we get to say go. Okay, I think we have every chance of being okay here. Wouldn't mind drawing a... Castle Locthwain, huh? Alright. The real upside, high upside line is make them have permission. But I kind of want to double spell if they do have permission. So I kind of want to, like, play Locthwain and go. End step activate Locthwain, see 2 new cards when I go into my next turn, and hopefully have found a discard spell or a low curve spell or an untapped land. I think that's the responsible thing to do here. We also maybe kind of get to time walk the opponent that way if they are sitting on some stuff. Who knows? Super interesting. That is for sure. Okay, opponent plays a Steam Vents. Again, we think they do have that Mountain in hand. We found Bauble. Okay. Found Spellbomb. Interesting. Alright, we're technically, like, triple spelling here. Lead on Bauble. Bauble the opponent. About to draw a land. Nice. Alright, so I think I'm going to test the water with a Liliana. If she gets countered, that's not that big a deal. If she resolves, that's pretty good, and Lurrus will resolve next turn, too. Remand. Okay. I think now's actually a pretty good time to Spellbomb, simply because I don't think they have a Snapcaster in hand. But at any point on, now they could draw one. I also wouldn't mind making a land drop here. We're rewarded because it's a Blackcleave Cliffs, which would otherwise enter tapped. Next turn at a crucial time. We draw Brutality too. Cool. Alright, so I think our sequencing is getting pretty rewarded so far. There's the mountain we knew about. They have a forest in hand, one unknown. Once again, I'm probably just going to lead on Liliana. Well, Kroxa's pretty good too. Does that change everything? Maybe we just go Kroxa, then escape him. Seems awesome. Alright, let's start with Kroxa. We have so many options. Probably pitch the forest here. Oh, they pitch a Misty Rainforest. Okay, opponent's just flooding. Sorry about that, my friend. That is a little bit rough and against the types of draws that I'm having over here. We're going depletion mode here. Maybe they've got permission they've been sitting on, but Veil... Okay, they're going to cantrip with Veil of Summer. Yikes. I take it all back. I have no pity for the Veil of Summer. Just kidding. Oh yeah, but opponents still just flooded. Yeah, they flood so badly at a crucial stage of the game. Opponent says GG's. Sorry about the flood, MT Gilligan. That was noticeably bad. That was noticeably unlucky. Let's... Oh, come on. Happens to the best of us, MT Gilligan. Sorry for the insane levels of flood. I say good games well played. Well, another cashed league. We've been cashing them all since ZNR dropped. 3 and 2s and 4 and 1s is all we've done, and that's great. That's fine with me. The mirrors, we lost 2 pseudo mirrors, and they were both really, really close. Honestly, the deck feels great. I did say, and I think it's true, that we are a little punished with some of the matchups, and I don't think anybody, myself and Tim included, really said, okay, this like kind of mid-range skewed variant on like the recently emerged best deck in the format is going to be better than the best deck in the format, or at least one of the top 3 decks in the format, right? I don't think any of us made that claim or really thought that, and I don't think we really, made that case here at all. It seemed like we did get a little bit punished for deviating from what would be the expected norm in those pseudo mirrors, and also that I think is probably true in a vacuum, but it is especially true for me because I haven't iterated with the stock, the like really proven variant yet, and that is kind of necessary in order to optimally tweak it. So we tweaked it for fun, and we tweaked it in a way that I think is coherent, but is it more powerful than the stock Red-Black Scourge list? I kind of doubt it. That said, there is probably potential for it to be in the near future. Maybe not this exact configuration, but something like it. You know who I really want to see more of added to the more stock list is Kroxa. And my understanding from glancing at the recent challenge list is that he kind of appears along the margins. But if the deck could be altered in such a way to include more Kroxa, rather like the pre-ZNR black-red prowess lists that kind of started off playing Kiln Fiend, basically replaced Kiln Fiend for the most part with Kroxa over time, with Kiln Fiend maybe being more of a sideboard card. I kind of think that's what I'm seeing just at a glance, right? Haven't gone over it with a fine-tooth comb, just at a glance with regard to those lists. I think we proved that here today. If nothing else, we proved that Kroxa is just unreasonable. Unreasonable in a lot of ways, in a lot of matchups. If you pay close attention to what happened here, Kroxa was getting us over the line in almost every single game. That said, Scourge of the Skyclaves was still really, really impressive on our side, but the non-bow with Lurrus was ugly one time. And this is something I identified in the with the initial draft that Tim sent me. I believe we had 4 Lurrus, and I believe we also had a Cling to Dust. And I understand the power of Lurrus. Lurrus looping Bauble was awesome in a few different places too, don't get it wrong. But I said I think the non-bow is going to be a little bit bad, and we probably want to minimize that as much as possible. Minimize that as much as possible. And we did see it rear up only one time, but it does exist. So as strong as the Lurrus Bauble package is, I wonder if just kind of like making the deck a little bit more mid-rangey goes too far by incorporating Lurrus alongside Scourge of the Skyclaves. I don't know. This is an insanely powerful card, and this is an insanely powerful card. So you can't write it off either, right? More testing needed. Vexing Devil is okay here. It wasn't really the league for it to optimally shine, but it's better than probably a lot of people would give it credit for. That I can tell you. I had some fun moments with it, turning the corner in the in my warm-up games that I played with this, because, sometimes you interact for the first couple turns. The opponent, maybe on like turn 4, the opponent's at like 18 or whatever, and you play a couple of Vexing Devils, and they're like, yeah, I guess we're taking them. The opponent's depleted my resources, I don't have removal, I'll go down to 10. And then you slam a Scourge, and it's a 10-10. And they're like, oh, okay, I'm just dead next turn unless I find an out. So between that and between looping it with Lurrus, you understand why. And I think the concept that Tim brought to bear here is so, so good. I think we might want to revisit this, actually, in the weeks and months to come, as the stock version of Red-Black Scourge and the meta around it, as those things both become clarified, we might have an opportunity to kind of one-up the Scourge decks by playing a Scourge deck of our own that's a little bit more grindy. We will have to see, but this was an odd league. Maybe it was just me. I felt that our losses were pretty feel-bad. Mainly because we didn't have much agency in them, and we were just kind of getting out-scourged. I hate losing mirrors. Mirrors in general are usually not that fun to play, and I think we kind of saw why here. At the same time, the wins were incredible. The wins were really fun. We ran into an awesome opponent in round 5, viewer of the channel, shout out there, and we also had a whole lot of fun squeaking over the line against Mill and completely crushing Tron. Let's just it's easy to get wrapped up in the minutia, but let's just step back for a moment and say that we have been crying out as a community, as a black-based mid-range community for a long time, for a black-based mid-range deck that can put Tron to the sword. We have it now, in the Rakdos colors. Whatever you want to do, Rakdos Prowess, this deck, the Rakdos Skelemental deck, Red Rock, there are so many ways to play black-based mid-range, good, honest, black-based interactive mid-range, and have a positive matchup against Tron, and we proved that here too. So Tim, Toronto, Gold Sabertooth, hope you enjoyed this one, my friend. This was for you. Thank you so much. Appreciate your ongoing generous support and your memes and everything else, your presence on the Discord, all the rest. Thank you also to our new Inquisitors, Austin Young and Ashes. And thank you to Ben Rees for upgrading his level of support from Confidant all the way to the tireless tier. We do appreciate that too, and congrats once again to Ben on last night's 5-0. Let us know what you think about the list if you want, but ultimately I do think, just for myself, I'm not really going to tweak this in the near future. I need to get a couple of reps in with the more stock variants before I do turn my mind toward tweaking what seems to be a very strong archetype. But yeah, I think Kroxa was MVP here. We only played 2 copies, and the guy was just dumpstering opponents left, right, and center. Cleansing Wildfire showed exactly how good it is against that Tron deck. And Scourge, as I say, 1 or 2 non-Bowie moments, but clearly a standout all-star in terms of closing out the deck and in terms of being the card that beat us, too. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you for the next video. The next content you'll probably see on the channel is the Battle for the Veil quarterfinals. We are going to be spectating them as they're played. If everything goes well, it will be a rotating cast of commentators. We'll have 2 commentators for each game. One example of a commentary pairing team would be myself and Steven. Steven being the person who co-hosted the Battle for the Veil introductory video with me. But we'll have other people too, other members of the moderation staff on my Discord, and other people from the top 8, I believe. We'll have a few of the top 8 competitors are also interested in commentating other people's games. So we'll see how it all goes, but you can find the content here coming right up. And then as we continue to play the Battle for the Veil tournament, we will also continue mixing it up with some donation leagues just like this in the traditional monologue fashion that you know and hopefully love. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Hope everybody out there has a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.